So, and you've alluded to this just a little while ago. You said there came a time when all of the upper-level management of Scientology was basically holed up in two double-wide trailers out near Hemet, California, at the California headquarters.
Right.
Can you tell us, how did that come to be? And tell us a little bit about the environment in that scenario and how you got put into there.
Okay, I told you that there was a deteriorating scene with Miscavige. You could peg different points to it. I actually peg it all the way back to 1990 when he got rid of his last rival. Because ultimately, his rise to power, he had to take out a number of people who were senior to him. And they were all coups, some of which I participated in, some of which I witnessed secondhand or firsthand. Okay? Culminating with Pat Broker. And once, apparently, he got, the prize in the ring and had no more rival to talk over. I mean, it happens to be the date coincident with when the stats slide for 26.
And Pat Broker is a trusted confidant of L. Ron Hubbard, right?
I don't know how trusted he was at the end, but fact of the matter is he appointed him to be a higher rank within the C organization than Dave, shortly before he died.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So where were we?
So David, he's I guess it's around 2004, the SP Hall.
Right. You said how did it begin? And I'm saying I guess it began in 1990, but in more modern times, 99 was that other big point where all of a sudden he's going to get pulled into this case that he's trying to manipulate from behind the scenes and see Bernie and do all these things, and all of a sudden he's getting sucked into the case. That was a huge point where he had he started, his behavior started getting much more erratic.
The Lisa McPherson case.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then by serendipity, for a year and a half, I was sort of off of his lines because I went off to go handle Tom Cruise and the Celebrity Center and a whole other thing in 2001-02 area, and then I got pulled back into Clearwater. So I'm missing gaps, but suffice it to say, by the time I got back at the base, from Clearwater actually, in late 2003, it was unrecognizable. I mean, there was no form of organization. It was a big hey you deal. None of international management was allowed to send any telexes out or communications, electronic or hard copy or any other way. And it was sort of this weird statistic game that Miscavige had going on down there. He would go in there and he would tell them to go work on the org board. We need an org board.
The organizational board would be like an organizational chart in a corporation, for example?
Okay. Right. We need to sort it all out. And then he'd go, you guys all, and it was, completely off Hubbard policy. Hubbard policy, you assign something to somebody and they do it. He assigns them all. So they all got to be in this room, right? Which is a double wide. It's a office for international management, and it's basically a couple of double wides, married up together. Okay. And it's got, indoor, outdoor carpet and some, cheap furniture, but workable furniture for office cubby holes and stuff. But there's no work going on, because what happens is he says, get the org board done, and then maybe 6 days later, and you're not allowed to go anywhere until it's done. If I see any of you guys walking around the base, you've had it, right?
So how many people are in there?
40, 40, 50, something like that.
And these are all higher level managers in Scientology.
Right.
And what is there in that double wide contained in there? Offices, conference rooms, what?
There's a big, it's centered, not centered, but there's a big conference room with about a 40-foot, 30-foot, 40-foot table. I mean, it's huge. And then there's cubbyhole, spaces for like 3 individual managers, and each cubbyhole or each cubby, what do you call those spaces? There's a number of those that sort of surround the table, and then there's a separate office for the COCMO, WDC chairman, the highest officers of Church Scientology International. Okay. And then there's a bunch of other administrative offices that swing off, and then there's another trailer that goes off, and there's other administrative offices. But that's the central place, the big wide open space with the big table and the cubby holes around it. So Miscavige keeps people there and tells them to work something out, and then maybe he'll come back 6 days later and goes, well, let's see this thing now. And then he'll look at it and go, and he'll jump on one immediate thing that sticks in his craw, And he'll ask, who was the one who proposed this particular thing? And everybody's kind of looking at each other like, maybe they point to somebody. And then he starts throwing stuff at the guy and screaming and calling him a suppressive person and an enemy. And you're trying to sabotage all of Scientology. And, he'll start throwing things across the room and just having a temper tantrum. And this might go on, Tom, for 2-3 hours regularly. And then by the end of it, everybody's confused. They don't know what to do. They're now told that they need to gang up on this guy and purge the suppressive or some wild thing that has no resolution. It's just a mind game. And then he leaves. And I want the postings done by tomorrow, right? Well, you can't do the postings without the org board. So everybody's stuck in a conundrum. Tom, you think I'm kidding? This is the way things went on. I was there for through October, November, December. It was nuts, and it deteriorated. All the while, he's saying he keeps busting people off their posts and sending them out to this other property we have to do an informal sort of holding period. They're out working in fields, and I don't know what they're doing, but there's 100 people that are in limbo that I'm supposed to figure out how to get rid of, meaning offload. So this insanity is going on. Nothing's getting done. This is the last 3 months leading up to January where he literally created this, what's been termed as the SP Hall, which I think is a great, description of what it was.
What does SP stand for?
Suppressive person.
Okay, and so the hall was full of suppressive persons in Mr. Miscavige's mind.
Right, but it was all of international management. Nobody was exempted.
And it's 40 or so people?
Yeah, something